Alrighty, people. So, I am making a day 5 sort of build diary or build update on where we're at with the Toxic Rain Pathfinder. Couple of little thoughts going into it, maybe some plans that failed, some plans that have succeeded, and I'm really happy with and stuff like that. I'll try and make this as quick as possible, preferably like maybe 10-minute video at best. Okie dokie. So we're gonna go over gear. What have we managed to get? This is day 5, the morning of. We did sort of teeter off a lot of our playstyle. We went ham the first probably day or two, and then we really sort of dropped down. We went from like a 16-hour day to quite literally like maybe 8, 10, something along those lines. But we managed to get a 6 link day 1. I bought a 21-23 really cheap, I think day 3. Got our helm enchant last night, very, very late. It just sort of rocked up. It was the first one, so I'm like, well, I'll buy it. I think I paid 2x for it or something, really, really cheap. I paid 20c for the bow, by the way. If we moved really quick. Had an ultra nice guy on stream that I threw out the offer, and he's all like, "Yeah, man, that's fine." It was only 40c. Literally talked him down because it was the very, very start of the league, and he probably wanted to buy an exalt really quick. Same deal with this, the 21-23. There was only 2 of them on. Obviously, the other guy wanted like I think it was like 4 or 5 exalts or something like that. PM the other guy just said, "Hey man, how about 1 exalt?" Took it. This is when exalts were, rapidly rising it to over 110 within, like day 2. It was a rather rapid increase on that. We got a Awakened Vicious Proj. This dropped for us when we were killing Conquerors, so that was fantastic. We got a Carcass Jack. I got one with really good rolls for about 30c. Yet again, because we were proficient on our first day, I got so much of this stuff for discounted prices and have now sold it for more money than it was worth originally. Same thing with the helm. I had a Devoto's Devotion from day 1 as well, but what we ended up doing was selling it and obviously getting this one. We were waiting on an Asnas chant because I was going to use an Asnas chant to use Desecrate and do my curses for me and stuff like that. So that was the plan. Was like we were just going to shoot. He was going to put Desecrates, and then we were going to use the Disciple of Katava, or Katava's teaching. This thing right here, to consume corpses and constantly sustain life. It does work. It just doesn't work as well as I would like it to. So for people that want, liked that idea when I was mentioning it on stream and stuff like that, it does work. I don't actually believe it's every second. So it says it consumes a nearby corpse every 5 seconds. Recover 5% of your life. It has an actual animation on it, and you can see it consuming corpses. It's a lot slower. I don't think it actually works the way they think it does. Like, because the animation also takes up like an animation time period. It seems more like once every 2 to 3 seconds. It's really slow. And the nearby thing, I was kind of hoping it would have a much, much bigger range than this. Like, I was hoping it would be more like, 75 units or something along those lines. It's actually insanely close to you. It's like worse than the helm definition of nearby. So, it's like 60 units or something. This thing's probably closer to like 30, 40. So, unfortunately, it should be a screen-wide AoE, considering that this thing has a massive, massive drawback of if you're not consuming corpses, you take 10% more damage. I'm not too keen on that. And also should consume more than 1 corpse, or for the sake of argument, should also maybe even not have a cap on it. You know what I mean? Like the penalty that comes with this makes it really not worth using for the very little it offers. Like if I could pair up several of them, it would be worth it. But the problem is that the damage multiplier stacks, and so I can never utilize it because you lose a dual socket for this, and you make your build more risky. You know what I mean? So stacking it is an option. You could get way more than one of these. You could have up to 5 of them. That's 5 jewels. That's a lot of damage you're losing. And then you're also taking 50% more damage, which is unacceptable. So unfortunately for me, this one doesn't cut the mustard. I think it needs to be rebalanced. It needs to be reworded. Like, if they put that down to 2% more damage and you're losing dual sockets, I think that's plenty of a penalty. What they don't understand is, like, when you make something utility like this, did you just really consider the fact that, like, okay, if I stacked them, I'll get 25% HP every second while I can generate a corpse. That's pretty cool. It's pretty cool, but I also just lost 5 dual sockets. If I put that in health, 7 5s or 35 or something along those lines, 35%, increased HP is also really, really good. You're already making a sacrifice. You don't really need to have penalties on top of penalties for something that's kind of a gimmick. And the thing is, this duel actually has a lot of potential. It could really fill in a lot of gaps where builds, much like dot ones, don't have a way of regenning up. So one of the things that sort of sucks about dot builds, and this is just a quick well, FYI for everyone that doesn't know, is the fact that they don't get any other sources of life back or sustain aside from regen. Regen is currently in a really bad spot because yet again, we have the number one culprit, the awakened multipliers and map mods. Map mods hurt regen pretty substantially, you know what I mean? So if you're relying on that, hurts leech as well. But like if you have a good combo of these two, it's not so bad. Conveniently for us, we're a flask finder, as you know, as things go. We rely on flask. Pretty easy to top ourselves up. We rely on dodge, you know. So we've always got a little bit of time up our sleeves to regen ourselves. It's not the worst thing in the world. We are the correct build for this. But if we were waiting on natural regen later on in the maps where it's like we've got 72% reduced recovery, it could be really painful. And we don't really have a great source of leech combined with regen to sort of make up for this. So that's kind of just my little thoughts on sustain for this thing. We also, we got the helm enchant. It's important to mention, all my gear, like this is our current life pool, 4.5. You know, it seems bad. It's actually really good because all of our gear is literally junk. This is stuff I found while I was leveling. Like this is quite literally from level 31. I picked this up and just haven't replaced it. These boots I found, you know, once we've been mapping. You know, yet again, they're only 20% movement speed. This found actually has nothing really besides cold res and life. This same thing, you know what I mean? Like this is all junk gear I found and just threw life on. Everything's crafted life. The only things we've actually bought were the carcass jack, the devotos, and the quill rain. Pardon me. So everything else is junk. Oh, we also found this today as well. Found it. We didn't pay for it. Rolled our own flask. Oh, sorry guys, just having like a little bit of a burping thing going on. We still want to roll these a lot better. We're missing a whole bunch of attack speed we can be getting from our flask, which is one of the reasons why we go Pathfinder. I'll explain that a little bit later. But it's one of the best ways to scale your attack speed, let's put it that way. Yeah, pretty happy with the progress for this day. I wish I should mention, we've still got 8x. We're eventually going to go out and buy an Empower. That's going to help a lot with our links. Our links are still currently wrong, despite having optimal damage. We're doing tier 16s, you know. Sure, I should say somewhere we've got tier 16s. I think I've got a recording of me doing one as well. We're not struggling in maps. We're not struggling against bosses. The only thing is, some of the high HP ones are still a little bit annoying. We have a lot of room to grow. So once we get the Empower and, you know, a +3 chest and stuff like that, same thing we did with the other one, Toxic Rain scales a tremendous amount with levels. I'm basically just waiting for the price of Empowers to drop down to about 5x, and I will spend the money, I will get it, and that'll be a huge damage upgrade. And then we're waiting to basically double Corrupt or buy a very, very big chest. I'm obviously going to have to save up a lot more money, and then we're going to have +3 on the chest. That's going to make it so that we have, like, about +6 levels on what we currently got. So we'll have a level 27 Toxic Rain versus the current level 21 that we've got. That will be huge for the build. It does so much extra damage, it's not funny. And then on top of that, none of our gear currently has Chaos Damage Multi on it. We don't have attack speed everywhere like I really want. Like, we want attack speed here. We want it on the rings, we want it here. Like, that's a lot of attack speed we're missing. We want it on the flask as well. We have, a whole bunch of points still left over in the tree. Jewel here, jewel here, jewel here. We can get this jewel in the final version of it. We're also waiting on an upgrade for this. We do have a really, really good cluster jewel right here. This is like what most people should be aiming for if they're trying to do skill effect duration. So it's a little medium cluster with the chaos damage over time multiplier on it. Eternal Suffering and Wicked Power are the ones that extend your time. If you can get a combo of these two, it's probably going to set you back about 2x. But, it's pretty cheap considering. And you probably won't replace it for a very long time. Oh, there's another jewel here in case I didn't mention that. Got our Uber Lab done. We got most of this done day one, by the way. Like, we had a really, really efficient run for things. Another way to scale it, we can scale our damage with frenzy charges as well. We are at that point in the tree, but the problem is we can't really generate them on bosses. I haven't thought of like a cute way of doing that yet, so maybe if I can find a way to put it in the build. I know some people like to have frenzy on their bar because we've got a lot of spare links too. We're still not running an efficient setup in terms of gems. We've got just a cast when damage taken steel skin. This can be made much better. Gives us like a 6k, nearly 7k HP when we need it, kind of thing. So, we don't have as much dodge as we did when we had elusive and stuff like that, even though it's been nerfed a little bit. But, we got our phase acro. It's nice. It all works together. Plenty of room for upgrades. We actually should swap this tree over. So, like right now, we're a lot of damage. because that's how we leveled. We're just going to path out through here and get life. So we'll actually have easily over 5k here. You know, you got some more life nodes up here. Like I said, each one of these is essentially, you know, 7% increased life because we can just fit more in. So for people worried about this amount of life, it's like, well, one, it's about 6k in reality. Just, you know, hopefully you're not getting hit too much if you're playing a ranger properly. And we're actually going to have this thing up around 6k life fairly easily. There's actually a lot of life on this tree. We're planning on using this jewel here to have a timeless jewel, hopefully with some mitigation, maybe some sustain. I haven't found another idea for sustain yet. I was really hoping to do that Asnas chant idea. But otherwise, we're stuck relying on Flask for now. You can't really get great sources of leech from dot damage because dots don't really leech, only initial hits do, so... that's pretty much the state of the build. That's the upgrades that we're really going to head off for soon. I have to wait for prices to change. I have to wait for items to exist. There is another cluster jewel we are aiming for. The chances of it existing are extremely slim. I won't tell what it is just yet because, you know, I've got a whoop set up for it. It might take all league and maybe only one will exist. If not, they mightn't even exist at all. So the plan is to fork out a rather hefty sum worth of money if anyone knows what it's worth. But there is some more notables we are after. If we can get them, it will be fantastic. I want them all on this one medium cluster jewel. It'll only cost us the same amount of points we got here. Same amount of points, but it'll just all be clusters. Sorry, passives. And it'll be fantastic. I really hope that exists, and I hope I get to bag it. And yeah, we'll save a whole bunch of points by going through the life section here, and then we just put 2 points up here. We drop these nodes here. We drop the damage ones here. We drop all these ones here. And we save a lot. We save a lot of points, and then we can also go down here, get more life. We can get the attack speed here, which is also fantastic. That's the plans in the ultimate endgame. For now, I think this will probably do us. There's also life nodes down here if we really want further down the track. I don't think we're going to go that way though. I think like these points here are going to be enough to sort of tie us over because there's still attack speed here, life here. These ones here are really good. There is these projectile ones here, although they don't add a crazy amount of damage, but they do add strength, and we do kind of want strength. Another alternative is, if we're happy with our damage scaling off of the jewels, the cluster jewels and stuff like that, and where we are, we're potentially going to keep the Quill Rain as our 6th link, and we're going to try and corrupt a whole bunch of these as well. So, this is to min-max in the end game. But if it works out well, we can just swap this for a Calm's Heart, and then we can have a ridiculous amount of life. Like, I'm talking like 8k almost, something along those lines. It's a lot. It's a lot of extra life, a lot of extra utility. So there's a lot of plans for this build. We're going to see how it all feels. We're going to try and collect all the items that we want. For now, the big focus is on getting my damage up to more than what it is. Because like right now, I believe it is probably 30% of what it could be. Like, we'll double this, and then we can, not double it again, but like, we can get 3 times as much damage as this, basically. And that's the plan. It might even be more, like, it's 3 times more dot damage. It's also going to be a lot more actual damage, like attack speed, amount of arrows, and everything's also going to increase. So I say 3 times as much. It's a lot more than 3 times, but it's 3 times as much base dot damage. We're going to get chaos damage multi everywhere, a whole bunch of other stuff to scale it, jewels, the works. So when we get that, our damage is going to ramp up a lot. But anyway, that's it for the build guide right now. I said it would be under 10 minutes. We're at 13 minutes something or other. I'll end it there. But yeah, that's the update for the build on day 5, the morning of. I'm going to keep playing. I've actually got a lot of work coming up. I will not be streaming for the next 2 to 3 days. I may stream this afternoon. That will be the last one. And depending on how things go, there might be more work down the track. But because of this coronavirus thing, work's going to get really scarce. So I'm either going to get more busy or I'm going to get really quiet. We'll see what happens. Like, subscribe, all that jazz. Thanks, guys.